He the Holy One. Okay. Alright, here we are again. Fuck it. Do you ever just say what you mean? It's time for me to say what I mean. I gotta say it from the heart this time. It's the last time I didn't. So this one's for you. And of course I'm here just for other people's benefit and none of my own today. Just none of my, I don't benefit from this at all. Don't say that I do. I don't benefit. Don't say that I benefit. I don't benefit. I don't benefit from doing this. I don't benefit. You think this is what I wanted to do? Well, it's time to slow it down a little. Taking the scenery, just believe in it. So life, you know that? Isn't it? Wow. There's nothing quite, that's, wow, that's tough. That's tough. Oh, man. It said life? Oh. Wow. 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 Life. Huh. Yeah. And that many times. Oh, wow. That is, oh, boy. Oh, wow. Oh. How about Americans? Like, no American knows how to do a French accent. At all. There's like, it's just, we're just like, oh, you're like, oh, and that's all that we know about France. It rends my heart. It's the language of love. Like, that doesn't compute. It's hard to tell what that language is, right? Yeah, get Rosetta Stone for that. She's on a conference call. Oh, I forgot that she was on that. Yeah. Okay. So please move on. Let's move on to something productive. Am I gonna provide anything productive to you? This isn't productive. It's entertainment. Ha 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 ha. It's pop music. It's pop music. It's fake. No, it's fictional. But like, if it's really good pop music, then it is so false that it is true. Ah, see, now I'm preaching to you. Now I'm preaching. I'm telling you to explain to you why you need to provide an explanation. Immediately. Please do that. And then fuck off. Please fuck off. After that. When that's done. Please would you fuck off? Please would you fuck off? Please. You're ruining this Christmas. I want my podcast just to be like a big Christmas party every time. I want it to just be like you're at home and that it's Christmas. Why do people get so hyped for Christmas? I don't get that hype. I just live in the moment. I live in the moment instead of in Christmas. You can only live in Christmas one day a year. No, I don't live in Christmas. I don't. I'm tired of having to answer that question. I don't fucking live in Christmas, damn it. It was like 3 years ago. Jesus. It wasn't even, but shut up. It's time to move to something productive. I don't want to hear what you think is productive. Someone says that to me. I decide what's productive. I do. I decide. I don't want to hear what you think is productive. I hear what I think is productive. My narcissism beats yours any day of the fucking week. It's a competition. I'm more narcissistic than you. Don't tell me that's a bad thing. It's a competition. Yeah, well, I don't feel like saying anything serious. So I refuse. I refuse to identify myself. I don't want to. I don't want to start explaining. I don't need to explain anything. I don't need to explain a thing. But then if you explain, because if you explain, then you're speaking from a position of authority. And yeah, so when you explain, you're speaking from a position of authority. So you are maintaining an identity, but you have to maintain an authority to maintain an identity, sort of. If you walk really tall and with your chest out, then you're saying that you have the authority to walk that way. And you're saying that you have the authority to walk that way, and then you got to follow through at other times in your life. If you're identifying that as you got to follow through with that. That has to be your identity. You have to be somebody worthy of walking that way. So it's an authority that you have to maintain to do that. So it takes a lot of responsibility in order to walk like exactly upright, you know, the way that you want to walk, the exact way that you want to walk, you know? I guess I think about walking too much. Is that a problem? I saw a video today and it was about a woman. It came through my YouTube feed, and she does 100,000 steps every day. 100,000 steps every day because she has this addiction of walking. And so that alone, we should talk about that for a couple days at least. We got to stop for society and just have a hiatus and be like, well, I don't know that we realize that addictions can develop this way, but we're really set on exploring what addictions can happen next. I guess you can be addicted to anything, as it turns out. Oh, she walks. She's addicted to healthy shit. That's pretty fucked up. I don't know if I trust that. That's not helpful. Yeah, she always walks, but I'm always thinking about walking. So I'm taking it further. I'm addicted to thinking about walking. Could you help? Help me. I can't stop thinking about it. I just want to walk and walk and walk, but I don't. Well, so what am I saying? Walking, in order to walk exactly, you have to have the authority to walk, you know? You have to have that authority. You have to say that you're going to walk. You know? No, you have to maintain the identity of somebody who's walking entirely upright, and that is the same thing as you walking exactly how you want to walk. If you are doing it that right way, you have to say that you're worthy enough to walk that way to yourself, you know, to to be the best that you can be, or whatever, in order to be the best that you can be, like the best possible thing that you can be is what you aim to be. But it's your in order to identify yourself that way, it requires a lot of responsibility, because it must mean you got to let loose control of some things. You have to be able to say that you are consistently that always. It's like, in order to identify yourself that way. So to actually take responsibility, it's just the weird thing is that the point at which taking responsibility is the same thing as having an identity, because it's like the point that authority becomes identity. No. Authority. Well, let me talk about authority then. Let me talk about authority. Let me talk to you about authority. Do you want to know about it? Here it comes. Yo. Yeah, but people just want to hear, I guess. They want to hear what's actually true. That's what they want. They just want to hear what's actually true. It's actually true. It's kind of like fiction. It's like just pop fiction. It's entertainment. But it's better entertainment. It's fictional. It's better. That's what it is. That's all. A fictional entertainment frequency band of frequency. Why? I don't know. I don't really know why. I like talking about Spectrum so much. I don't know why I like talking about them. Help me. Help. This is just the Help Me podcast because I just need help. Please. Are you crying out for help? Okay, whatever, bitch. I was reading a text. Yeah. Do you know that this country is founded on rock and roll? I don't know. Was it? Rock and roll? Okay. Whatever. Rock and roll is just gonna be a meme in 5 years. Sorry, world. Whoops. Oh, does that hurt? Hope it hurts. I want it to sting. Like I said, anything. Jesus. I can say farther than that. I'm not gonna identify myself. As long as I don't define it. Like, this is what I am. This is what I am as defined. So you're definable. Like, you give way to an identity. That's what you want to not do when you're doing something that's like comedic. You don't want to be derivative of an easily distinguishable pattern, of derivative of something that everybody else knows. So you have to diversify. Like, if you have an identity, it has to be full of instances from, like, you had to be totally surrounded by an environment that like caused you to be this identity. Your identity has to come about naturally. In order for that to happen, you have to have a large sample size of data to choose from, like, for the identity that you're building. And you get that by being from a certain location or whatever, where everybody talks this way and all that. And you can so then you identify yourself clearly. No, you have to, it has to be totally consistent throughout your character in order for it to be more genuine, whatever identity you end up choosing. But if it's of a easily distinguishable pattern, it's like something that people have seen before. They just see through your identity. They see through it. But because they do. People know what's false and what's true about your identity. It's just the question is how relatively truthful is yours? And you can be more truthful the more that it is just what it's always been, the way that you've always been, like who you are. But that's more relatively truthful because an identity still, in order for it to have value, it has to be individualized more. It has to be produced and manifested enough that it's more alive in you. God, I keep forgetting. But your identity is has to be consistent through all your, so you have to, if you do an impression or something like that, it has to be good. It has to incorporate a lot of different elements with that identity. Or if like you start talking like somebody, like you want to have a certain identity, like if you want to sound more hood or sound more hood, if you want to sound more hood, if you want to sound better, if you want to sound more hood, God, I'm a fucking loser. Why do I have to figure it out? Just say one of them. Doesn't matter which. Say one. I can't get myself to say it. Yeah. Your identity is, yeah, but I'm saying just like the way that you come across overall. But it's time for us to talk about something that's productive. It's time for productivity immediately. Oh man, production, right? Productive. Productive. Is what I say productive? Or is it just entertainment? Is it productive? It is productive. Yeah. It can just be entertainment. It can be productive and entertaining. Yeah. Now I'm just recording arguments I have with myself. That's what we've arrived at in this year. The year of our Lord, 2020. I just want to speak, you know? I just want to say the things. But you are saying the things. It's just a matter of accepting that you say them. I try to accept that I say them. But I do say them. I live in a world where I say them. Do you understand that? Is this productive? Is this productive? Is this productive? Is this argument productive? Is it an argument? What am I saying? Is it productive for you that I said it at all? Is it productive? Is it helpful that I said it at all? It's just an argument that I'm having. Don't you have an argument with yourself? Jeez. Fucking do it. It's crazy. So much fun. Man, I just come down off a high every time. I argue so hard. Not afraid to go really hard arguing with myself. I bleed me. Not afraid to bleed me either. I'm very proud at this. Please behold me. Behold this. Behold me. Behold me. Hey, behold me. Behold me. I know. But behold me. Yes. Yes, behold me. Yes. Behold me. Do you want to behold me? Or are you just, oh, because last I checked, I was the only one who, oh, so you didn't put it there. Oh, okay. No, I wasn't going to tell anybody about it, but fine. Do you guys check your microwaves? Yeah. There might be something in there. There might be something you forgot. Okay. This isn't. Is this productive? Is that productive? Not the one before, because I know the one before was good. I already is good. That was funny. That one was good. Sure. It's time to move on. I'm tired of good. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of good. I'm tired of what I did. I don't want to identify myself. I'm tired of what I did. I want more good. I want better good. I want higher levels of good. I don't want good as it is now. I don't want good now. Good now fucking blows. It's nothing. Good now is nothing. Fuck good now. I have places to fucking be. I want to be good. Ooh, fun. That's a fun time. That's a fun time. Positive doesn't have a boundary. Positive doesn't have, it's not, it goes. It goes. It goes. That's why you have positive and negative infinities, in order to differentiate between them. In order to differentiate between them, that's why you have to have the boundaries. So that's how you differentiate between negative and positive, but they're both designated in infinity. Positive goes forever. You don't have to stop at what you are. You don't have to identify yourself. Don't define it. Don't define yourself. What are you? Oh, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. And so why, yeah. No, my computer shut off. My computer shut off and I can't start again. Shut off because I'm negligent. Because I'm damn negligent. I'm one-track minded and I don't understand peripheral things. I don't want them. I don't need it. So goodbye, periphery. I'm getting my peripherals removed. And I'm going to be the first one. And when people see me, they'll know the difference. So I'm getting them removed. 2020. Let yourself free. Is that what happens? No? That's what happens? This decade? I don't know what it is. But you don't know what it is when it happens. You can't define the present. You can't define the present. That's why it's so hard to live in the present. That's why it has to do with loving people. That's why it has to do with love. Or making you feel positive or happy. Or that you're doing the right thing. Living in the present. Is because it doesn't... you can't define it. You can't. The only thing you can do with the present is accept it. You don't get to think about it. You don't get to define the present when the present is happening. You only get to think it. You only get to classify it after it happens, as it goes into your past. Because as it becomes part of your past, it's in your mind, and you think about it the same way that you think about anything else. And you've got to think about it in words, and you've got to think about it in styles of communication that are closely linked to just you having consciousness at all. Is what you have to communicate your memories in. So you only get to classify your memories and try to define them to yourself after they happen. But you try to define them to yourself. You try to put them in the proper categories because they're memories. They're categorizable and they exist within your mind, where your mind is, because it is one giant space that you can picture it to be just one giant space, your imagination, where you're categorizing these things. And so since it is one giant space, it is just one space. It is your mind for your individuality. And it contains your memories in all the ways that you define. I'm just talking about your mind. Your mind is one space, right? It's one space. Meaning since it is a space, it is contained, and it's contained by like the physical borders of your body. But so it's one space, and you get to define things within it. You can categorize things within it. But whereas outside, external to yourself, you don't get to categorize anything because it is physically already in place. You know, it's not, you can't categorize the future. Well, you can't define the present. You can't define the present. You can't categorize the future the same way you can categorize the past. You can calculate for the future. You can guess. You can try to predict it. You can try to predict the future, just like have an understanding of patterns enough to understand trends so you can see the future. You can understand the future, and understanding the future requires a lot of creativity because the future exists in a place that doesn't exist now. So the way that you communicate future events is in languages specific to the future events, you know, and those languages are cumulative of many different interactions between people across the entire universe, especially now that we're more connected. So if you're trying to predict future events, it requires a great deal of forethought, but you have to understand what truth is for everybody rather than what truth is just for yourself. You have to understand what the truth of the world will be in the future, you know. You have to understand truth for everybody, which is like objective truth, but you only have to understand subjective truth in order to categorize the past. Like if you were able to totally understand what truth was for everybody in the future, then I guess potentially you get close to being able to categorize what happens. But it's still a game. It's still a competition to figure out who's best. Still a competition. But you can't define the present because the present just happens. You don't get the chance to understand it, and it's even different from the future as much as it is different from the past because you don't get to manipulate any part of it, or you don't. Well, like as long as it is just like the moment that you're considering is the present. Like you can't. There isn't definition in that. The only thing you can do is accept it as it, and the only thing you can do is live in the moment because it is undefinable. It is undefinable. You can define it afterwards. The process of you defining it like ends when the present is over, really. But I guess you start to define it. You start to define it probably as it's happening to you. You start to define it as it's happening to you. But you don't define it entirely. You start to analyze it in the present. No, I mean, now that's just a big argument. That's just a big argument. But what are you doing, big bopper? Being a bopper? My dog looks like an alien. He's really cute. He's got alien cuteness. He loves tearing up shoes. He's a little scamp, this one. I like to try to squeeze his mouth shut and then watch him try to open it. It's fun to see him try to open his mouth. It's fun. Let's see, what else does he do? Oh, what else is fun? I would like to push down on his head and see what he does. Yeah. Like to throw him out the window. Yeah, baby. Animal abuse 2020. Sorry, you're not allowed to say the words animal abuse. You're not allowed to pretend or joke about the words or any actions involving them. Well, characterize this, bitch. I got places to be. I have places to be, and I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear what I have to be tied down to for this moment. Like I gotta pay attention to the dog or worry about whatever the fuck else. Oh, there's something I have to do? No, there isn't. Something I have to do. I'm talking about that while I make a podcast, here I am sitting here while I make one. I have to fend off my own arguments that I'm wasting time. I have to be like, what? I have to fight them off while I'm talking because they're trying to stab me. And it's crazy. It's crazy what doubt is. You know what I mean? Do you know? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah? Who's on first? Yeah. Well, who's on first? And what's on? Who's on? That makes me so happy. Who's on? Why is it? You can just fuck it up entirely. Third's on. Who's on first? Who's on first? Second's on. Third's on first. Second. Who's on third? Who's on second? Why's on third? Second's on first. I thought. No. Sorry, that was a mischaracterization of the Oriental community. I do that so that I stop being a moron. I have to break out of it just by making nonsense noise, or else I'm going to ramble on like I'm taking a stage or some shit. Like I'm taking a fucking stage, because I'm not taking a stage. This isn't for you to hear. I don't benefit from this. Is this productive? Is this productive? Is this productive? Is my anger productive? Will you validate my emotions this morning? Will you understand the truth of what I'm speaking? Is it just a feeling? Am I just talking about something I feel? How true is it? How many books have you read? I haven't read that many books. I just look up the information that I need to know. Okay? So there's the answer to that one. I don't read that many books because I don't take in information that way. I don't take it in that way. Because books don't ever have the information I'm looking for. So because I'm smarter than books. And thank you for appeasing this tradition of me being smarter than books. I'd like for it to continue. I am better than books, and I don't want to hear an argument anymore. Books did nothing for this country, and I need a license to say that. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to talk about libraries and books. The books. You should hear about it. You should hear about it when they change it into a format that's listenable. They change it into a format that's entertaining at all. There's nothing entertaining about a book. There's nothing entertaining about a book, says this guy who doesn't read that many books. I just don't. They're too particular, and I'm not interested in the information because what I'm interested in most of the time is just what I'm interested in. And other people are boring. Yeah, no. I mean, it is true that most of the time but like people around me I would listen to. Like okay, let me defend it. Because people, hey, and being too forthright. I don't want to sound like I'm infringing, like I'm ultimately infringing. I don't want to transgress tonight. I don't want to transgress. Am I nice? Am I nice? Am I a nice person? Or am I mean? Or am I mean because I transgress? Am I mean because I go... Am I mean because maybe I infringe on somebody somewhere when I speak? Does that make me mean? Does that make me mean? Nice is a nice word, meaning that it is a pleasant word. It is not controversial or inflammatory at all. All it is nice, and it is entirely descriptive of what it is. You can't say much about the word nice. It's just nice. It's almost like it's exchangeable with calling somebody ordinary. Like They're just nice. You're nice. Nice. It means nothing. It doesn't. It's just because it's such a used word, but people can use it with the right tone. People can use it with the right tone. People can use it and specify its meaning. With the right tone, people can use it, specify exactly what kind of nice, because it can have value if you use it at the right times, as long as you don't use your words sparingly, as long as you don't speak trivially when you use your words like the liberals do. Liberals don't care about words. They don't care about the specifics of the word. They don't care about it. They don't revere the authority of words. They don't review the specifics of a word. That's why they just say all kinds of things and they don't care about its exact application. That's why on CNN you tune in and they just keep saying the word anecdotally over and over and over again. If you tune in, the only time I would tune in is for like the primary election results. But they just keep saying anecdotally because that's their buzzword, because they don't know, because they just want to use big words. They just want to use a big word, and that's a good one, and then they all start using it incorrectly because they're all liberals and they don't have the skill set of very accurately applying the word. And they don't care because it's not valuable to them. They don't care about it for whatever reason, whatever makes them, whatever makes you a liberal. You don't care about the specific, you don't care. They just use anecdotally, like it used to mean, you used to be able to use it, but now they're just like, oh, anecdotally, because it is kind of it's a general word if you make it out to be. Anecdotally, like it's just, but it's supposed to be for anecdotes, which are, you would want to differentiate from statements, but they don't care. They just put anecdotally over everything that sounds remotely like that, because that's just the word that they've totally robbed its dignity of this week. They choose new words all the time, like racist. Like racist used to have some authority, like it used to mean, like, it definitely still means something to be a racist. I'm just saying the word itself, like, oh wow, you're a racist, or like, but now it's just like, well, yep, there's racists in the country because through the process of them vilifying racists, then they watered down the use of the word, because you're just calling everybody racists, where it used to be reserved for a specific group of people. It used to have a lot of distinguishment, a lot of value, a lot of capital. It used to have marginal difference because it was distinguished more specifically to one thing. But now it can apply to anybody, and also to the point that we don't even know who's a racist and who isn't, because you're tying it with all these different groups of people, and we're like, oh, now, so there's just there's some confusion about it, like because there's so many things that can be a racist now. There's so many things that can be a racist. There's general confusion about it, at least a little more, and so we just avoid the topic altogether. But like, so now if somebody is particularly racist, they are a racist the same way anybody else is a racist. And now they're going to turn me in for saying racist that many times. He has to be one. It's definitely witch hunt. Like, that analogy is really shines through. Like, that's totally true. It's a witch hunt because there's just speak about it. Like, there's speak of witches more and more. Like, oh, they said, and somebody you might start to speculate as a witch, and then they say the word witch. That's probably what they would hang people for back in the 1700s. Like, it is very witch trial. But it is, and it's weird that it's like a witch hunt that gets carried out at the national level, because you don't want to be on Fox News or whatever. You don't want to, because you could just say the wrong thing at the wrong time and people are like, oh, they said this, and then it's a national headline. Like, so then that affects everybody, makes everybody try to be really careful about what they say. And I don't feel like right now, this year, I don't think 2020, we don't live in the same, we don't have to live in the same umbrella of fear that we did in 2018. We don't. I think that things are more, you can say things, but you can say things more. And people are at least understanding that they have to take you at your word or try to figure out more rather than label you. Like the power, I mean, the people that label things, their influence and their power is diminished greatly, like the mainstream media. They're not, like the people that really are prone to and they exist to label and define, which is the same thing as defining one group and distinguishing them from another group within one entire group, which is America. Like they, by defining different divisions and calling people these different names, by labeling people and trying to label people inflammatory things that are divisive, they create divisions, and the divisions are basically the definitions that are made to distinguish certain groups from other groups within the whole that is the country. The country has, but the news, like the narration for America used to be up to journalists for the most part, because they are the unbiased few telling us, like, at least part of the narration, like, this is what's noteworthy, this is what's newsworthy, was like all the mainstream media and then the way that the tree fell to local news outlets and whatever. Like, it used to be up to them to tell us how things were going, and now it's not. Now it's just up to everybody collectively, like just an average of everybody's opinion, because it's all distributed out evenly through social media. The way that we narrate what's important to us, or like what's happened, what's a story. The people who used to tell us what's a story are not telling us what's a story anymore. Like we know what a story is through social media. Like the world decides, like the country as a whole decides what's a story and what isn't now. And it used to be we had to rely on the mainstream media. But and so they don't, but, and I keep talking about that. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to explain. I'm just saying that. And so so what you get is yeah. Yeah. Oh, stop me. Ow. Was that productive? Yeah, but like, is what I'm doing productive? Yes, it is productive. I do believe it's productive. I do. That's why I like that I had to stop on the idea at least for a second. It is productive. It's just not, it's really vaguely productive if it is at all. It's just a thing like once you define it past productivity, no, you can define it to be anything at all. Is the podcast productive? I'm just talking about, keep talking about the podcast. Like the thing that I'm doing right now. Here it is. This is, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. That's what my brain is doing all the time. Like, oh, now I'm here, now I'm walking past somebody. Like, I acknowledge every single person I walk past in the hall. I acknowledge them not on purpose, or like I don't say hi. I just can't stop thinking about that I'm passing somebody in the hall. Like, I say hi sometimes. I'm just always fixated on what's going to happen when we pass, because I'm just like, because I'm overdoing it. Like, it is productive to just say anything that happened to you so that other people can feel okay about it. That's what I think. That's what you should do anyway. It's actually not that hard. It just takes forever to practice to do it. If you are prone to being a mannequin, if you're prone to being, I don't know, if you're prone to being not forthright with your speech and given to repetition and defining yourself. If you really, really, really defined yourself, like, make sure that that definition is a pretty unlimited one, because that's what you're going to be. That's what I think. But, like, I feel like I got to keep going. I don't want to be identified at all. I don't want to be defined. I want to be beyond definition as long as I can, so that I can just say whatever. So I can say whatever, because I don't want to be defined. Because I don't want to be defined. And I don't give an authority power over me to define me. I am the only one who can define myself. But is that always having a not identity? I don't think so. I think that that's just the identity of somebody who changes all the time. Like, can that be an identity? Is that an acceptable identity? The guy that's what I want to be. I want to be the guy that changes all the time. I want to change all the time. And you know what? There's a stigma about every single identity that anybody could take. There's a stigma about it. Like in high school, if you are a skater kid, there's a certain stigma. Like there's a certain drawback to being a skater kid. There's a certain drawback to being a burnout, but that's a more evident one. There's a certain drawback to being a cheerleader. There's a stigma about cheerleaders or athletes or whatever. And whatever identity you take, there's like a stigma about it. I wonder what the stigma would be for the guy that always changes. I always change. It would have to be that I never grow up. It'd have to be that it doesn't grow up. But what if you just accept that? What if you accept that I am? What if I'm just the guy that always changes? Like I don't ever be identified. I don't want to be defined. People try to define me. I'm fucking sick of it. Bye. I want to undefine. That's what I want to do. I want to undefine. I want to get rid of authority. I don't want to add authority. I don't want authority to be over me. I don't want to allow authority. I just want to undefine. I want to undefine authority rather than be a definer, rather than give into having an identity and then dictating definition. I want to be, but you don't have to do it. Absolutely. You don't have to do it. You can be both of them. You can be authority because that's what like being a parent is. You have to be authority and you have to be creative, but it's more important for you to be an authority. And that's why being a parent blows so much. If you're a parent, probably. I mean, that's what everybody complains about in being a parent is like being an authority and taking the responsibility of all these decisions that your kids are going to hate because it's your responsibility to be the authority. And it blows because you're older. Because you're older, but if you're a kid, you are an undefiner. You're fighting through authority. That's what youth is. You know, that's what youth is. Youth is fighting. Well, obviously, like youth is fighting through authority. I'm just saying. What if my identity is just enough. Like. It doesn't matter what I say would be part of that. I change all the time. When I change all the time, what I say now doesn't matter. It's gone. I change all the time. That's what I'm saying by change all the time. I'm not saying I would be able to take because I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't measure up in that way of evaluating it. I wouldn't measure up in like my appearance. Like I wouldn't go to the length of changing identities in different people or like wearing different clothes. Probably I wouldn't commit to that. Maybe I'm talking about something that's more fast or short term. Like just don't ever define it. Don't define me, but you will, but you try to, but everybody does. That's what is competitive about it. That's what's competitive about it is can you be undefined the most? That's what's competitive. Because you feel like you have the most to say. It's masculinity. It's competitive, you know? It's because you think you're better than other people. You want to be the person. That's what you want to be. I'm not saying that that's a novel idea. That's not a novel, no. It's just competitive. That's how you get to be number one. Like I said in the first one. You are the most undefinable, then you are number one. That's what it's about. So I want to be number one. I want to win. I want to win the game. Do you understand? Do you understand? I want to win the game. Do you understand? I want to win. I want to have the most value in the things I say. Because of the competition, because I want to win, because I want to be the most undefinable. I want to win. I want to have the best podcast, you know? That's just the thing. And everybody, like, I would say maybe if you're a man, more so than if you're a woman, you think that you think that you're right, and that you want, and that then at that point it's just a matter of who is the most right. You know, who's the best at all these things, because you already assume that you're right. So that's why it's a competition, because it's assumed. That's why masculinity is like competition. It's because it's assumed that all the players are already good enough, or they're already on the pot, and they're already on the right side of things, you know. And then at that point, then it's just who's the most right. I want to be the most right. I'm even giving that away to you. That's how far ahead. That's how far ahead. Sorry. Bye everybody. Sorry, I'm begging it to even be a competition at this point. I'm begging you, anybody, explain to me. This is it's the most arrogance like anybody probably has ever heard out of me. But I don't say it needlessly this evening, folks. I challenge you to ask me questions so hard, so impossible to answer, that you're just going to embarrass me with your intelligence, and I'm going to be fumbling and be like, I'm defined. And then I get defined, bitch. And then I have to wear a defined bitch stamp on my butt and then get it tattooed on my forehead, and for everybody to see. And then I'm gonna get a couple teardrop tattoos and put those on also, because I'm a baby, because I got defined. Oh, I got defined. You know, like really, really ridiculous stuff. You know, so maybe if I was more cultured, I could say something better. But this is an hour of this. This is once more an hour of this. Oh boy. Let's see if I can keep going. Once more an hour. Well, it's not an hour, because I'm going to go back and edit some stuff, because there's spaces. You know how that gets when there's spaces. Is this productive? Is this productive? Good night. Like when you have to wrap up a theme, and then finally, is this productive? Like it's time to wrap it up and say good night. That's the format of a lot of TV shows and a lot of sitcoms. They have to wrap it up as if the day is ending. As if it's nighttime when you go away from the show, and then it's day again when you watch it. That's how a lot of sitcoms go. Or like anything that has a message. I don't think I'd ever make a TV show that had a message. So, but I'm pretty far off from making a TV show. So, figured that one out at least. I guess I probably will never make a TV show. That was a really tough decision. Well, I've got to run. It's been this, and you know, I will make more podcast episodes, and it's time to get on that train. You know what I'm talking about? Have you been on the train? Have you been on the night train? Okay.